You secured an internship at an accounting firm. Congrats. But now what? How do you stand out, avoid mistakes, and make sure you end the summer with a full-time offer? Follow these steps and you'll walk away at the end of the summer with that offer locked in. Okay, the first thing you need to do is not stress. Yes, this is a big step in your career and a sign of future things to come, but it is not make or break. So anytime you're feeling nervous, just take a few deep breaths and remember, there's really not that much expected of you as an intern, so don't stress out too much. There's a tendency for interns to react like this anytime they make any little mistake. But trust me, this is not necessary. It's highly unlikely that you'll be working on anything important enough to warrant that kind of reaction. I know you want to impress so you can get a full-time offer, and you think the best way to do that is, do great, amazing things. And yeah, that's true. But honestly, the more important thing is just to avoid the really bad mistakes. So let's walk through those real quick. When I say messed up bad, I'm referring to things like attitude problems, getting into fights with employees or conflicts with other employees, being lazy, things like that. I don't mean, you couldn't reconcile a trial balance or you couldn't figure out a pivot table. You can learn those sorts of things, that's fixable. But if you're someone who is difficult to work with or has a bad attitude, that's gonna be a huge red flag and honestly really a big hindrance in getting a return offer. As an intern, not too much is really expected from you technically. You really just have to have a good attitude, be willing to learn, and work well with other people. So yes, this is a great opportunity to secure your job, but it's also your first opportunity to lose the job too. So you can't just assume everything is gonna go well and you have the job secured. You could definitely lose it, so make sure you're working hard and staying professional. And another thing I think interns should really be aware of is, yes, we all know you're super excited. This is a big step in your career. You're in this brand new office. It's really cool, exciting times. That's great. But for everyone else, it's just another day in the office. So sometimes, the interns can be not getting rowdy or crazy, but they're just more excited and animated, which is good. It brings good energy to the office, but just remember to be respectful, not to be going too crazy, because for everyone else, it is just another day in the office. So you want to make sure you maintain professionalism. Also, it might feel like you're not a real worker yet because you're just an intern, you're only here for the summer, and that is true to an extent. But if you're planning on getting a return offer and coming back, this is your first impression. As an intern, people are going to remember that. And yes, obviously, once you become an associate, things will really start and you'll make your real impression there, but your first impression is going to last. You want to make it a good one. People are going to remember you. They will talk about you during the year. They're going to be like, you remember that intern we had? Yeah, they were great at this, or they were weird, or whatever it is. People will remember you. And when you come back to start full time, you will already have a reputation because of that. So like I said, even if you aren't the most technical already, because it's not really expected for interns, make sure you at least have a good attitude and you're willing to learn. And try to learn, because if you can, learn things while you're at your internship, you're gonna just start, a little further ahead once you get your full-time offer. And if you start a little bit ahead, you're gonna progress faster than everyone else and get to the next level faster, and that's just gonna compound and compound. So getting off to a great start starts with your internship. And I would say the best way to do that is to just genuinely be curious about what's happening. So anytime you have the chance to talk to an associate or a senior associate or really anyone, ask questions about things you're genuinely interested in. If you're watching an associate do something, ask why they're doing it. Don't ask too many questions, find the right balance, because that can, be annoying if someone's just constantly asking you questions. But, definitely be interested, try to understand what's happening. Even if you don't actually understand what's happening, try your best to understand, because even that is gonna, help you, because you're gonna develop an understanding of what's going on and just get closer and closer to finally being ready. And yeah, a lot of times interns are sometimes given, work that isn't the most important or most engaging, which, that's what just being an intern is sometimes, unfortunately. But when you do get things that are actually relevant and important, try your best to understand why you're doing it. A lot of times, an associate or senior associate might be lazy, and that's on them. And they might just say, oh, do this. And they'll tell you exactly what to do, but no further information, no information about what it is you're actually doing, why you're doing it. And like I said, that's lazy on the associate or senior associate's part. They should be telling you, hey, this is why we do this, and starting to paint the picture for you so you can really start to understand what's going on. And as an intern, you probably will have some downtime, especially during the summer. It's sometimes hard to find work for interns. Take advantage of that time. I know, like I said before, it might be fun to go play ping pong or hang out with the other interns or do whatever it is, which is great, but take advantage of some of that time to, poke around at your firm, look at what resources they have online, look at prior year work papers, and kind of just try to learn, try to understand, because like I said, it's going to set you apart when you do start full time. And like I said before, you should ask as many questions as you can without going overboard about the work, but also ask about life and the lifestyle, and ask about how the associates live and how the senior associates live. And a big part of your internship is, yes, the firm is judging you and saying, do we want to give them a return offer? But you need to be judging the firm too and say, is this realistically a place that I want to work full time, 40 hours a week? It's easy as an intern to kind of be like, oh yeah, like it's fine, I like it, this is all good. But genuinely ask yourself, like, if this was my actual job, full time for the next, 2 to 5 years, 40 hours a week, would I be happy? Do I like the office? Do I like the location? Do I like the people? Do I like the culture? All that sort of stuff. So yes, the firm is judging you, but make sure you judge the firm too and be honest. Don't just accept it and be happy to be there because you're an intern. No, see, is this really somewhere I want to work? And a great way to do that is by asking questions to the people who already work there. Like I said, ask about the work, but ask about the lifestyle too. Like, hey, do you be real with them? Like, do you actually like it? What do you like? What do you not like? What's the office culture like? And honestly, most people are going to give you a straight answer. They're not going to give you like the firm regurgitated question, especially if you develop a relationship with them, which you should. You should try to build your network, go to any networking events, obviously with other interns, but also associates, senior associates, managers, partners, anyone at the firm. Anytime the firm has some sort of event, try to attend and meet people, because your network is very important, especially depending on the size of your firm. Smaller firms, it's a bit easier because there's less people, so it's easier to make those connections. But if you're at a big firm, there's so many people, it's going to be really hard to meet everyone naturally. So going to these happy hours and events is a great way to actually meet people. But yeah, if you do, develop some sort of relationship or connection with them, you'll be much more likely to get a real answer when you ask them questions about what life at the firm is like. And also as an intern, I know you see like associates or senior associates or managers or whatever, and like you feel like you're the middle schooler and they're the high schoolers, and you kind of like look up to them. You're like, wow, like that's so cool, like blah, 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 whatever, which I like get, like that's just natural. You're always going to look at the people above you and think that. But at the end of the day, they're just regular people who were in your shoes 2 or 3 years ago, and you're going to be in their shoes in 2 or 3 years. Like, just treat them like a normal person, and they're all, usually pretty nice, at least in my experience. So I know that was kind of a lot of information I just threw at you guys, but I just thought it would be helpful for you. Just to summarize it, in general, just be professional, work hard, be curious about what you're doing. That's really important, so you can start to understand, start to learn, try to make connections if possible, and judge the firm, like really assess and be honest, like, is this what I want to do? Is this the place I want to work? Because if not, it's better to find out when you're interning than once you have a full-time offer. So make sure to be honest with yourself in that situation. And lastly, if you're looking to, pass the CPA exams, but you don't really know where to start, or you're scared to start, or you're struggling, reach out to me. Check the link down below, because I offer mentorship and coaching for students trying to pass the CPA exam. So, I can be there with you every step of the way. So check that link down below, because I'd love to work with you. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Peace.